Hey guys, and welcome to the Fish Room. I'm Rachel O'Leary, and today we're taking a look at my Paludarium. Now, if you're new here, this project was started, gosh, way back around the new year, maybe even sooner than that, but it's been put on hold because of COVID. So it's been growing, but not much has happened. But that's until this week. You see, my friend Nick, who's the one who designed the Paludarium, is doing a commission in York. So I was able to meet up with him in the parking lot, grab the critters we had planned for it, bunch more plants, add them to the Paludarium, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. Now, the Paludarium has been a really easy keeper. Initially, it got some fungus gnats, but those resolved pretty quickly. I basically just have to mist it down every other day in order to keep the humidity high enough on that back wall for the plants. Do a weekly water change, and really that's about it. So today I want to show you some close-ups of how it's doing, as well as what critters I chose. So let's get started. As mentioned, this was started many, many months ago, and it was initially planted, I think, around March. Nick and I were having a difficult time sourcing some of the plants we wanted. So this week when I met up with him in the parking lot, he had brought some to supplement the ones that I had been able to get. I think it's pretty obvious that things have grown in very well, but I wanted to fill things out more, so I was super excited to add these plants in. I added a bunch of these ferns, some little peperomia, and more of the ficus to the back wall. You can see that I still have the tillandsias, or the air plants, in there as a filler as I continue to get plants, but you can see that things have really taken off, and it's really becoming a very lush paludarium. Now, I've always wanted one of these setups. I take a lot of inspiration from my travels, my hiking, my backpacking, my canoeing, my kayaking, and I have a real infatuation with waterfalls. So when Nick offered to do this setup for me, I was extremely excited, and it is definitely a setup that I plan to keep for a very long time. I think it'll be really interesting to share with you guys how these different plants do and grow, as it's planted with a wide range of different things. I even have included some mini orchids and things like that in here, and I plan to incorporate some of the more tropical carnivorous plants as well in the future. So stay tuned for that. Now, I did link the brief build to this aquarium, but unfortunately my external drive got corrupted, so I've lost most of the footage. I'm super frustrated, but I still think that we'll be able to learn a lot together as we watch this setup continue to grow and evolve. Now, choosing livestock for a setup like this was a bit of a challenge, mainly because while this is a 75-gallon aquarium, the actual volume of water is maybe only 15 gallons, possibly even 10 gallons because of the amount of stone within the aquarium. So I had to be very, very careful as to what I was going to choose. I could have gone with something easy, like a small fish, something like white clouds would do exceptionally well in here, but I wanted something new. I wanted something exciting. And one of the things that I see a lot of when I'm hiking waterfalls and stuff is little salamanders. So I thought the closest thing that I could add that would be like that would be some newts. Many species of newts, however, have very specific requirements. So I went with blue-tailed fire-bellied newts, which are a pretty forgiving species, being able to take things quite cool and also quite warm, as long as you keep them in the mid 70s for the bulk of the time. Now, these guys will spend the vast majority of their time in the water, and are relatively peaceful, and you can see just how beautiful they are. Nick gave me these two. These were a pair of his adults that he's had for a really long time, and you'll notice that one of them is missing toes. It's perfectly fine. It just is missing toes. So I picked up a pair of adults and 3 juveniles. The 3 juveniles will go into a holding tank until they are big enough to be added with the adults, and we'll take a look at them here in a minute. I basically just put the bag into the water portion, let them acclimate to the temperature, and then added them into the aquarium. Now, they immediately started exploring their surroundings. I can't wait to see how they look as their colors intensify over the next few weeks and months, as they settle in and eat up a bit more. But right out of the bag, they were actively engaging with all these layers of slate, climbing on the driftwood, and really just showing off how much personality they have. Now, I have never kept newts, so I have a lot to learn, but let me know down in the comments if you guys would like a species spotlight on these guys as I continue to learn more. already it's been super rewarding watching them settle into this aquarium, and I find myself watching it way more than I anticipated. And despite their relatively small stature, you can see just how clownish they are, and they're always doing something that is just really adorable. You can also see where they get their name Blue Tail on this one here. Now I'm going to be feeding them a range of diets, from mealworms to live worms to pellets, depending on what they take readily to. Within a few hours of adding them to the aquarium, they were already ready to eat. Because I've been traveling and this was sort of a last minute meet up with Nick, I didn't have any live worms on hand here. However, I do have floating Hikari arowana sticks that I feed my big boys, and their nutritional breakdown is perfect for these guys. Now, again, I will be feeding them a range of foods, but for now, I'm just offering them these pellets held with a pair of tongs in order for them to think that there's something alive. And as you can see, they took right to them. This is a big relief because I do spend quite a lot of time traveling, especially when it's not COVID time. So knowing that I'll be able to feed them dried foods and it's this easy is a big relief. One of the things that I hope to do as things progress is have my aquariums and my setups be less labor intensive and easier for other people to maintain for me. These are the little juveniles that are in a 10-gallon holding tank, and you can see even the babies have a ton of sass. Now, as mentioned, I have 3 of them. I'm not sure of their genders yet, but they're also eating quite well. I picked up some freeze-dried mealworms. I'm feeding them those, as well as broken up pellets, and they are doing really awesome. It's really funny to see their different attitudes. You can see that the first one I showed you is definitely the ham of the group. This one is more reserved. And then there's another one that likes to hang out in the driftwood, just sort of staring at me. I'm excited for these guys to get to size so that I can add them into the display aquarium. I think it's going to be a super fun and engaging setup. And again, it's important to consider with species selection, the longevity, as these guys can live up to 30 years. So again, this aquarium is going to be a long-term project. I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing my Paludarium. I'm super pleased with it. This one is very much a marathon, not a sprint. I think it's coming along amazingly well, and I hope you guys like it too. If you do, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe with that notification bell on. As always, I hope everyone is staying safe and staying healthy. Now, I have been absolutely glued to this setup, so I thought I would share with you guys just some additional footage of the setup as well as the newts, and I hope you enjoy it.